Navn min fleiri en vindar. Heiti min fleiri en bannar. That is how I might translate Óðinn, or Mr. Wednesday's claim in American Gods, that I have more names than there are winds, more titles than there are ways to die. Hi, I'm Old Norse specialist Dr. Jackson Crawford. I teach Old Norse, Norse mythology, and related subjects at the University of Colorado, previously at 2 campuses of the University of California, and I have been the Old Norse language consultant on American Gods, the television show, Season 2, Disney's Frozen, as well as other upcoming major feature films and television programs. In today's video, what I'm going to do is look at the last stanzas of the poem Grímnismál in the Poetic Edda, in which Óðinn recites his various names in the presence of King Gérðr, who has kept him captive over a period of 9 days. 9 is a sacred number in Old Norse, and we see in many other instances that Óðinn is associated with it, such as when he sacrifices himself to himself for a period of 9 nights on the world tree Yggdrasil in the poem Álfamál, something that, of course, happens much later in the novel American Gods with the character of Shadow. I'll begin with stanza 45 of Grímnismál, picking up where I left off on my stanza-by-stanza read-through of Grímnismál about 6 months ago. Now I hope that those who have been waiting for this completion of that series will understand why I have waited. And if you would like to go back and watch all of those videos to get a full read-through of Grímnismál, there's a link in the card on the top right. So here's stanza 45. Svipum hefi ek nú ypt fyr sigtífa sonum, við það skal Vilbjörg vaka. Allum åsum það skal inn koma, ægis bekki á, ægis strekku at. This is Odin speaking throughout this poem. I have now lifted ypt, my appearances for the sons of the victory gods, for the gods. Oftentimes in Norse poetry, the gods are called sons of gods, just as men are called sons of men, giants are called sons of giants, etc. The implication seems to be that now he's revealed himself in the sight of the gods. The gods now know this is Óðinn, if they might happen to be watching what's happening down here in Gérðr's court. With that, at that, shall desired help Vilbjörg awake, vaka. It shall come in, það skal koma in, before all the gods, all the Asir, Ollum Åsum, on Agir's benches at Agir's drinking occasion, drekku, from drekka, a feminine noun meaning drinking occasion. Agir is the host of the gods' feasts. I like to call him the gods' MC. And now, having said this, having revealed himself to Gérðr, as well as to any other gods that might be watching, Óðinn begins reciting his names in stanza 46. Hetumk Grímr, hetumk Gangleri, herjan og hjólmberi, þekkr og þriði, þundr og úður, helblindi og hór. I have called myself hetumk Grímr, masked. Gangleri. Ganga is to walk. Leri, probably related to lar, thigh or leg, so like walk leg, wanderer. Herjan, warrior. Hjólmberi, helmet bearer. Þekkr, famed one. Þriði, third one. Þundr looks like the English word thunder, which is actually cognate with the Old Norse name Thor. This is actually probably related to þenja, to stretch. Thunder then meaning the stretched one, perhaps in relation to the tale of Odin's hanging on Yggdrasil, on which occasion he was stretched at the neck by the rope he hanged himself from. Úður, wave, helblindi, hell blind, and hór, meaning high one or potentially one-eyed one. The ambiguity is because hór typically means high. It is cognate with Gothic house, Gothic being a more basal Germanic language, if you will. But Gothic also has an adjective hax, which would be cognate with Old Norse hor, if that adjective is in fact what we're seeing here, and that would mean one-eyed, if it's cognate with that Gothic word hachs. Stanza 47. Sadr och svipal och sangetal, herteter och nickar, billoiger, baloiger, bolverker, fjolnir, grímur och grímnir, glapsviðr och fjolsviðr. Truth, sadr, and swift, svipal, and true father, true begetter, sangetal. Herteter, battle merry, hnikkar, angerer, a name he uses in the poem Grímnismál in the Poetic Edda. Billoiger, curse-eyed, boloiger, fire-eyed, bolverker, evildoer, fjolnir, spellcaster, magicer. Grímur, that's masked one again, just as in stanza 46, and grímnir, the one that goes masked or with a shadowed, hooded face. This is the name that he uses in Grímnismál, that's why the poem is called that, the words mál of Grímnir, the masked or shadowed face, hooded face. Glapsviðr, sviðr means wise. Glap is added often to adjectives and nouns to indicate something that is foolish or that is wrongly done, some kind of mistake. So we could take this as meaning effectively unwise. And then fjolsviðr, much wise. So he's both unwise and very wise. These are names of his. Stanza 48. Síðhottur, síðskeggur, sigfóður, hniggúður, alfóður, valfóður, atríður og farmatýr. Einu nafni hetum aldregi, sits ek með fólkum fór. Long hat, long-brimmed hat, síðhottur. Long beard, síðskeggur. Sigfóður, this could be victory father, or if my hypothesis is correct, that father actually relates to the Old English verb fadian, Old English of course being closely related to Old Norse. This might instead, victory father, be victory orderer, victory ordainer, victory arranger, something like that. Prepared for war, hniggúður, all father, or all arranger, all ordainer. Valfóður, father of the dead on the battlefield, or perhaps arranger, ordainer of the dead on the battlefield. Atríður, the rider, presumably rider of a rope, as they have, that they talk about being hanged that way. And farmatýr, that means burden god. Tyr meaning god, also the name of a specific god. And farmar meaning burden, almost certainly also relating to Odin as a hanged god, because the one who hangs is the burden of the gallows or the hanging tree. I called myself hetumk, never aldregi, by one name, einu nafni, since I went among people, sits ek for með fólkum. Stanza 49. Grímni mik hetu at geraðar, en jólk at ósmundar, en þó kjallar kjolka dró, thror þingum at, óski og ómi, javen hor og biflindi, gondlir og horbarður með góðum. They called me hetumik, Grímnir, there's that name again, just as in stanza 47, at Geirröðr's place, where he is right now, but Jolkr, gelding, at Osmundar's place, and then Kjallar, when I drew the sleds, erek dró kjálka. Thror, mighty, at things, legal assemblies in the Norse world. Oski, wish granter, and Omi, probably something to do with speaking, so perhaps speaker, orator. Just as high, or just as one-eyed, Javan Hor, and Bivlindi, shaker of shield, shield shaker. Gondlir, probably another one for something to do with wandering. And Graybeard, Horbarður, among gods, með góðum. Of course, Horbarður, Graybeard, is a name he takes in the poem Horbars Ljóð, Song of Graybeard, when he confronts his son Thor in disguise as a ferryman. Stanza 50. Svíður og svíðrir ek het at sökkmimis, og dulða ek þann in aldna jótun. Þó ek miðviðnisvark ins mera burar Óðinn ein bani. Svithur, wise, and Svithrir, wisener, wisdom granter, something along those lines. Which I was named het at Sukkmimir's place. Sukkmimir, we know from Ynglingatal, is the name of a Jotun or giant, which he says in this next line too. And I deceived that aged giant, ek duldathan in aldna Jotun. When I was, though ek vark, the K at the end of var is just the word ek, I again. When I was become Óðinn, the single killer, the one killer, ein bani, of the famous son of Midvidnir, ins Maraburar Midvidnis. We don't know who Midvidnir or his son is. Many of these refer to tales that simply have not come down to us in any preserved source. 51. Allur ertu geróður, hefur þú ofdrukkit. Miklu ertu hnuggin, þú ert mínu gengi. Allum einherjum og Óðins hilli. You're drunk, allur ertu gerður. You have overdrunk, you have drunk too much. Þú hefur ofdrukkit. You are much deprived, ertu miklu hnuggin, when you are, and then understand the word deprived here, when you are deprived of my aid, mínu gengi. When you are deprived of the einherjar, those are the warriors who were in Valhall, Odin's hall, Valhalla, and Odin's grace or favor, Óðins hilli. Possibly, Ollum einherjum in the dative in line 5 there is an error on the part of the copyist of the manuscripts. This is in 2 manuscripts, in the Codex Regius as well as AM 748 1 quarto. We would expect that to be genitive, perhaps, allra einherja, so the favor of all the einherjar, rather than just that he's deprived of the einherjar, because why would he be deprived of them as people? So there could be a copyist error there. If what I'm saying is right, then it would be you're deprived of the aid of the einherjar and of the favor of the einherjar, in addition to Odin's favor and aid, and that seems to me to make a little bit more sense. And that's the kind of copying error we see fairly frequently in these manuscripts. Stanza 52. Fjóld ek þér sagða, en þú fót mant, of þig vela vinnir, meki liggja ek se míns vinnar, allan í droira drifin. I said much to you, ek sagða fjóld þér, but you remember little, and thu mant fought. Friends betray you, deceive you, trick you, vinir velathik. I see my friend's sword, exe means vinarmaki, lying ligya, all driven in blood, allan driven I droera. Stanza 53. Eg móðan val, nú mun uggur hafa, þitt veit ek líf liðit, varar erudísir, nú knottu Óðinn sjó, nolgats þú mig ef þú megir. Now, Yggur, one of Óðinn's names, something like the Terrifier, this is quite a common name for him, and also the one that we see in the name of the tree he hanged himself upon, Yggdrasil. Now, Yggur, Óðinn, will have, mun hava, a blade-injured dead man, Eg móðan val, Gerður himself, who's about to die on his own sword. I know your life to be, understand the verb to be, past. So, ek veit þitt líf liðit. Your disir, spirits that accompany one in life, are wary, eru varar. Now you know to see Óðinn, nú knottu sjó Óðinn. So now Gerður knows that the one he's talking to is Óðinn. Approach me, nolgats þú mig, if you can, ef þú megir. Stanza 54. Óðinn ek nú heiti, Yggur ek óðan het. Hetung þundur fyrir það. Vakar og skilvingur, vofuður og hróptatur, gautar og jólkar með góðum. Ofnir og svofnir ek hygg at orðnir se, allir af einu mer. I now am named, or call myself Óðinn. Earlier, Óðinn was named Ygr. I called myself Hetum Thunder, stretched again before that. Waker, Vakar, and Killer, Skilvingar. Waver, perhaps something like confuser, or this could again refer to him being hanged. And orator god, Hróptatur. Gelding, Jolker, and Gauter, father, progenitor, something like that, among gods. Hítur, Ofnir, related to oven, and Swofnir, sleepener, sleep maker. These might refer to the stories in the story of the saga of Hrólfr Kraki, in which Óðinn heats and makes sleepy the army of King Hrólfr Kraki of Denmark on one of their journeys, which I think ek that may be used all at se orðnir allir of me alone, of mer einum. And that ends the poem, but there is a short prose note at the end, as at the end of many of these poems. Gerður konungur satt og hafði sverð kné sér og brugðit til miðs. En hann hörði að Óðinn var þar kominn, stóð hann upp og vildi taka Óðinn frá eldinum. Sverðið slapp úr hendi honum, vissu hjálpun niður. Konungur drap föti og stöttist áfram, en sverðið stóð í gegnum hann og fekk hann banna. Óðinn hvarf þó, en Agnar var þar konungur lengi síðan. King Gerður sat and had a sword upon his knee or knees and drawn to the middle, so it's halfway drawn out of its scabbard. And when he heard that Odin was come there, var kominn þar, he stood up, hann stóð up, and wanted to take Óðinn from the fire. Óðinn has been imprisoned between two fires for these 9 days. The sword slipped out of his hand, and the hilt pointed down. The king tripped on his foot and stooped forward, stöttist áfram, but the sword stood through him, í gegnum hann, and he got his death. Hann fekk banna. Óðinn disappeared then, and Agnar was king there long afterward. Agnar being the young son of Gerður, who was kind enough to bring Óðinn mead at the beginning of Grímnismál, in citing him to recite the various lore that he recites before he gets to his name at the end of this poem. Well, I hope this has been a somewhat informative or interesting look at the names of Óðinn and at Grímnismál and Norse literature and Óðinn more generally for you. I have also translated the entire Poetic Edda, of course, that's been available since 2015, as well as the Saga of the Volsungs. And in September 2019, my translation of Hávamál, which is accompanied by the Old Norse text as well as a full commentary on the Old Norse text, will become available. That will be called The Wanderer's Hávamál, and will give you, I think, the most comprehensive and definitive look at the poem Hávamál that there has ever been in English. I make these videos for free in beautiful places, but I do that on top of 2 full-time jobs, teaching and writing, and about 4 part-time other jobs. So my Patreon supporters do a lot to help me keep doing this, and if you haven't checked out my Patreon before, I hope you'll consider doing that and dropping a couple bucks in the can every month to help me continue to do this. For now, from beautiful Colorado, I'm wishing you all the best.
Thank you.